Welcome back, guys, to this set review. I'm Incredibad Gaming,
And I'm ZMagic94.
and today we're going to be looking at the colorless and lands section of the new Aether Revolt set. So let's dive right into this, and let's get to our first card. Aegis Automaton, 2 colorless, artifact creature, it's a construct, 4 mana, 1 white, return another target creature you control to its owner hand. It's an 0/3. I believe this is part of the Automaton cycle, if I'm not mistaken, or it's the Aegis cycle. I'm not sure which one it is, but each color gets sort of this type of artifact that does a certain effect. This is the white one.
Okay.
I think this one's all right. Yeah, returning another target creature you control to its owner's hand. It seems really good, but you just need a lot of mana.
It's also just a solid wall.
That's what I'm thinking too, right? A 2 mana 0/3 is fine.
It's a filler card for sure. It's like a 2 or 1.5.
I would say like a 2.5. I think the bouncing is very relevant. That can be very good.
Yeah, sure. And it also enables. Yeah, okay. You can save things. I think that's cool. Like late game, you can just save it for a removal spell. It makes it very tricky for the opponent. It's not great, but I would play it. Aether Sphere Harvester for 3. It's a 3/5 flyer. Well, 3/5 vehicle. Flying. When Aether Sphere Harvester enters battlefield, get 2 counters, or 2 energy counters. Pay 1 energy, and it gains lifelink until end of turn. Crew 1. A 3/5 flyer for 3 that crew 1 that can gain lifelink. This is such an energy sink that is nuts!
Yeah, this thing's very good.
It blocks everything.
This thing's very good.
This is a 4.5 for sure.
Yeah, I can finish games, no doubt. I don't know how
This is a 4.5. How do they block
this
in the air?
I would just say it's a 4 because it's susceptible to a lot of the other artifact removal in the set.
Okay.
It's still really good. It's still really, 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 really good. And like you're obviously gonna play it in almost any deck you open. You're probably gonna first
you
make
just play this on 3 and you can block. Like it's a bomb. It's a 4.5.
I'm giving it 4. I'm gonna.
It's colorless. It goes in every deck.
Still, it still loses to all the artifact removal, right? Which is a big thing. It loses to all the artifact and creature removal, which is something you have to be taken into account with vehicles.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think that's fair. Augmenting Automaton, 1 mana, black 1. Augmenting Automaton gets +1/+1 until end of turn. It's a 1/1. I think this card is fine. I actually think this is playable. I would rate it like a 2, a 2.5. I just think because late in the game it's a mana sink. If this ever becomes a 4/4 or a 5/5, then your opponent's gonna have to
that
deal with
costs like
it.
6 to 8 mana. I think this is a 1 or 1.5.
That's why I said it's a mana sink. Plus, it's an artifact, right? It's a 1 mana artifact. It's going to help with improvise a lot. And then after it helps with improvise later in the game, you can actually use it to actually be a creature. So I think this thing has more relevancy than you think it does. I'm not saying it's an amazing card. I'm saying that it's a fine playable card. And
I think this is like a 1.
I think you're wrong. I think it's like a 2.5, maybe a 2.
Barricade Breaker, 7 mana. Artifact creature, Juggernaut. Ooh, Juggernaut. Improvise, Barricade Breaker, attacks each turn if able, a 7/5. Oof. This could be like, this actually can cost 0.
There's always the Juggernauts, right? There's been a few Juggernauts in Magic that always have this sort of same effect, right? Where it's like colorless, attacks each combat if able. Yeah, this thing can be fine in aggressive decks.
It's stupid. You can play it on turn 5. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say if you play it on turn 5, this thing's
4 or 5 makes it good.
You could play it on turn 4, which would be insane. I don't think
this is a very high uncommon in the set.
No.
But it goes into every deck. It has no evasion, which is a problem. And it dies to something, but it doesn't die to easy things. Like,
I think it's fine in an aggro deck. I would give it like a 2.5. Cogwork Assembler, 3 mana, artifact creature, assembly worker. For 7, you can create a token that's a copy of target artifact. That token gains haste. Exile at the beginning of the next end step, and it's a 2/3. Yes, the thing is fetchable because it's an assembly worker with self-assemblers. It's a 3 mana 2/3 at its base, so it's all right. It does do something if you have a really good artifact that you want a second version of. So I think it's okay. Like,
it's a 2/3 for 3 in every color. It's really good. It's good, and then late game and board stalls is really good.
Alternating, you can use the 7. You need a really good artifact for it to be used for 7, right?
No, if you're in a board stall and you have nothing else to do, and like, let's say you can make any target artifact, so you can draw a card with a puzzle knot.
7 is a lot.
Good in a board stall. It's also just a 2/3 for 3 in every color.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's okay. I'm saying it's like a 2.5, maybe a 2.
Consulate Dreadnought, 1 mana. Artifact vehicle. Crew 6 garbage. Oh, okay.
It does improvise, which is something. But yeah, this is probably not playable. Probably like a one, one
I
and a
think this is a
half.
solid 5.0. Like, if you
I
drop
think that's
this, I don't think
sarcasm
you're
at
ever
detect.
losing the game.
I don't think. I think that's solid sarcasm. That sarcasm's like a 4 out of 5. So I think this is a one, a one and a half. Consulate turret, 3 mana. Uh, Tap, you get an energy. Tap, pay 3 energy. Consulate turret deals 2 damage to target player.
I
Uh,
think this is bad. Real
I think
bad.
this is bad. I think this is bad in limited for sure.
It doesn't
Yeah.
actually interact with the board.
It's like a very worse version
It's
of
it's
Dynamo
it's
Tower.
3 mana, doesn't interact with the board at all.
So
It's
I
like
think
a
I think
straight
it's
1.5.
maybe even a one.
Yeah. Crackdown Construct, 4 mana, artifact creature construct. Ooh, I love the construct. Uncommon. Whenever you activate an ability, artifact or creature that isn't a mana ability, Crackdown Construct gets +1/+1. And end of turn. This is a combo. Combo.
This is a combo, not unlimited.
Combo
Not
in
unlimited.
standard.
It's a combo in standard.
It's
In
so
limited,
big.
in limited, it's gonna be like a 3/3, a 4 mana. It's gonna come down to be a 4 mana 2/2, and it's gonna be maybe a 4 mana 3/3. So in limited, it's like I would say it's like a two. It's a one and a half.
Infinite combo. Yes.
Daredevil Dragster 3. At end of combat, if Daredevil Dragster attacked or blocked combat, put a velocity counter on it. Then if it has 2 more velocity counters on it, sacrifice it, draw 2 cards, crew 2. Actually, this is pretty good. It's gonna attack in for a 4/4, which is pretty big. Crew 2 is fine. That most stuff is 2 power in the format, and you can easily crew it. And then after it attacks twice, you draw 2 cards, so it actually generates another card. So actually, this is a pretty good card.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But even if it only attacks twice, but after it attacks twice, it replaces itself and draws you an extra card. It deals damage. It's easily crewed. Yeah, I think it's pretty good in my opinion. I think I'd give it like a 3. It's not the best card in the world, but the fact that it draws 2 cards is very good.
Filigree Crawler, 4 mana, artifact creature, insect artifact creature. Common. When Filigree Crawler dies, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact with flying. This card is real filler. 1.5?
It should be called Filler Crawler.
Yeah, is it 1.5?
So I think between 1.5 and 2 if you really need
I think
something at
1.5,
4,
right?
and you want a flyer and you need artifacts.
I guess it synergizes with some like artifact
That's why
sacrifice stuff.
that's why I said 1.5 to a 2.
It's a 1.5.
Sometimes this thing. Boundary Assembler, 5 mana. Artifact creature, assembly worker, improvise, 3/3. Pretty standard. It's alright. I mean, like, if you play it on turn 4, it's a hill giant. You play it on turn 5, it's really bad. It can be found. The self-assemblers. I'm not big on it. I think it's deck filler. I would say it's like a 2, maybe.
Ganti's Aether Heart. 6 mana. Legendary artifact. Mythic. When Ganti's Aether Heart or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you get 2 energy. Pay 8 energy. Exile Ganti's Aether Heart. Take an extra turn after this one. Sweet card. Super
This
sweet.
is an interesting one, I
I
think.
don't think it's good for limited.
Yeah, but it can
Garbo
generate
for
a ton of
limited.
energy. It can generate a ton of energy, but it's too slow. It's 6 mana. It doesn't do anything of an impact.
Could be
anymore.
sweet in some really weird constructed deck.
Yeah, it's definitely a constructed card. Probably like a 0.5 to a 1. Heart of Kiran. 2 mana, legendary artifact vehicle, flying vigilance, crew 3. You may remove a loyalty counter from a planeswalker you control rather than pay Heart of Kiran's crew cost. So this card feels good in limited. 4/4 flying vigilance is insane. The crew 3 is sometimes going to be a little tough in limited.
I think it's
But-
still 5.
You still think this is a 5?
I still think it's a 5.
No, I don't think so. I think I'd put it as a 4. It's still very good because it's a 4/4 flying vigilance.
Really?
Crew 3 is a lot, and you're never using its last effect in limited.
So it's vigilance. So you get to, if you have 2 3/3s, you can just attack and block with it.
That's true, but like, what would you rate Smuggler's Copter? Because like it's
Smuggler's
similar to
Copter's a
Smuggler's
5.
Copter. That's true, but I think Smuggler's Copter is better than this.
Yeah, but this is just a low. Okay, 4.5 then. Sure.
Yeah, okay. I'll bring it up mine a little bit, maybe 4.5.
I mean, the crew 3. If it was crew 2, it'd be insane in limited.
Yeah, it would be insane in limited, but 3
But it's
is
crew
a little
3, so
difficult.
it's a little bit harder.
You might not. There's enough cards that don't have 3 power on turn 3 that sometimes you're not crewing this on turn 3. Sometimes you're crewing it on turn 4, which makes it a little bit worse.
So Hope of Gearthapor. 1 mana, legendary artifact creature, Thopter, 1/1, flying. Sacrifice it. You can until next turn. Target player who was dealt damage by Hope. It cannot cast non-creature spells. Very bad for limited.
Yeah. Constructed
Terrible.
card. Good constructed card.
It's terrible for limited.
It's like a 0 or 0.5 maybe.
It's like a 0. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It's a legendary artifact Thopter, which is very hilarious, and it can be your commander, which is also fantastic. So Implement of Combustion, 1 mana, red, sacrifice Implement of Combustion. It deals 1 damage to target player. When Implement of Combustion is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. So this, I believe, is the implement cycle. Each color gets one. They all do little things. So this thing's okay. Basically, it's fuel for improvise. That's about it. So depending on how good improvise is as a mechanic, this is going to be better or worse. I still think I wouldn't play it. I still think it's like a 1.5.
Well, it helps improvise and revolt.
Yeah, but
this one's awful. This is one of the bad ones.
Yeah, so I think this is like 1 to 1.5.
This is the awful one. There's actually the other colors have little better ones. Implement of Examination, 3 mana. Blue, sacrifice Implement of Examination, draw a card, and then whenever it puts it into a graveyard from battlefield, draw a card. I think this is a little expensive.
It's basically...
It costs
sort of
more,
like
so it's not really the best, but it is the best of them. Because it's basically No.
It's a little slower than Divination, but it's kind of like Divination.
But it also can improvise, too. It's 4 mana draw 2, which is not terrible.
But if your opponent plays this on turn 3, you're kind of happy because you're like, okay, it's 3 mana, you've done nothing on turn 3 technically, and then on turn 4 you'd have to spend a blue, so you'd still have to play a 3-drop. So like I think it's
if it was 2 mana, I would like it a lot more. Because then it would just be Divination.
I think it's too expensive. I'd give it a similar one as the red one. I'd probably put it at 1.5, maybe not as low as a 1, but I think a 1.5 is fine.
Yeah, I think it's 1.5 still.
Implement of Ferocity, 1 mana. Green, sacrifice Implement of Ferocity, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, activates the ability only anytime you cast a sorcery. When Implement of Ferocity is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. This one is not bad, actually. Green has enough stuff that you want to be putting counters on. This feels improvised with 1 mana. It's an artifact, it's cheap. I think this one is fine. I think this is probably a 2.
Yeah, this is at least a 2. It might be a 2.5.
Just because of counters, this is actually super relevant. This could impact the board. It could.
It's 2 mana, put a counter on and draw and cycle. So
yeah, which is fine.
It's actually okay in green. Also, you can just play it on turn 1 and improvise. So it's. I think it's sweet.
Yeah, it might be 2 to 2.5, like a 2.25.
And green cycling that actually does something is very good.
Yeah. So yeah, this thing is fine. This thing has been the best one so far.
Implement of Improvement, 1 artifact, white, sacrifice, gain 2 life. Gain life effects are terrible. When it puts in the graveyard, the battlefield, draw a card. It's 2 mana to gain 2, draw a card. That sounds awful.
This might be the worst one. This might be like a 1, maybe.
No, the red one's real bad too. This one's terrible. This is a 1 for sure. Yeah, though.
This is
just hot garbage. It also goes in the egg decks in modern though, because it's a 1 mana draw. Maybe.
Don't play it. That's all I can say in limited. Implement of Malice, 2 mana, black, sacrifice Implement of Malice. Target player discards a card. Activates its ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. When it's put into the graveyard, draw a card. I think this would be much better if it was 1 mana, but at 2 mana, it's still not.
Is this the
great.
Second best one? Is it right behind the green?
It's the second best one, and it's like maybe
it's what is it? For 3 mana, you draw a card, and they discard a card?
Yeah.
That's a 2-card swing. Well,
yeah, but it's 3 mana.
Really.
And you're not really using it. It's like a 1.5.
Sure.
I would say it's like a 1.5.
I think this goes in certain decks, but not like the green one goes in more.
Yeah, I think it's like a 1.5 to a 2.
Inspiring Statuary. 3 mana. Non-artifact spells you cast have improvise. Wow! Not good for limited.
This has a lot of implications outside limited, but it's just too slow. And by the time you play 3, by turn 4, do you really need improvise? Unless you're playing a whole bunch of stuff. This is one of those cards that you can potentially draft a build-around deck just for a fun draft.
But not for like actually anything good. It's not good because it just does nothing. Yeah, this card, it seems like there's some cool build-around in Standard or in some constructed format. I mean, it's really cool in like Commander, actually, because it makes your really expensive things cheaper. It's a cool constructed card.
Iron Shade Crusher, 4 mana. Crew is an artifact vehicle. Crew 3, 6/6. Not much else to say about it. I think it's okay. I think if you need an artifact, It can
It's
be
a
fine.
bad Bomat Bazaar Barge.
Yeah, basically the six power, six toughness might be a little relevant, but yeah, I would say this is like a 2 to 2.5. If you really need a vehicle and it's something to put in.
I think it's a terrible vehicle. Probably a 1.5. Like
All right, I think
maybe,
maybe
all
just
right, maybe
higher
a 2.
vehicles.
Let's say 2.
That's what I see. I think
Yeah.
that's just fair.
Lifecrafter's Bestiary.
I believe
Bestiary
it's bestiary.
is like a beast.
Yeah.
Okay. 3 mana. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. Wow, that's already really good.
Yep.
Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay green. If you do, draw a card.
This card's really good.
This is stupid.
This card's really, really good. You play this card. This is like a 4 to 4.5. It just does everything you want. It fixes your draws. It draws you free cards. If you're green, you're gonna be playing a lot of things.
How can you not play this? How can you not pick this? This is a 4.
Yeah, as I said, 4 to 4.5. You could splash green for this and be fine with it. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff you could do with it.
I think it's probably a 4.5. Probably closer to that.
This card is insane. Once it gets going with the artifact removal, I don't know how you stop them. You just generate so much advantage.
Yeah, like just like the scry, like I don't have just the scry 1 every turn. Jeez, like you're going to find creatures.
Yep. That's why it's that good.
You
That's
played on turn 3. Turn 4, you scry 1, get a 4 drop or get a 3 drop. Play a 3 drop, draw a card. The engine starts going. Oh, and it plays amazing with improvised spells. You're right, because you can tap it for the improvised spells. This card's great.
Merchant's Dockhand, 1 mana, artifact creature construct. So it's a 1/2, and for 3 and a blue, and tapping it, and tap X untapped artifacts you control. Look at the top X cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. I think this card is just too slow. You need a lot of artifacts for this to be good. I don't like it. I think this is a pretty filler / junk rare.
I think it's a trap. Yeah.
I think it's like a 1 to 1.5. I just don't think you want to play it. It's too slow. It's so expensive to activate the ability.
It's 100% a trap, but is like the trap worth doing?
No.
Probably.
You probably need to get at least tap 3 or 4 artifacts you control for it to be worth it.
And it's a build around, so like it's not even a filler, so it's not like it's a build around.
No, I would give it like a 1. That's what I think.
Probably a 1, yeah. Metallic Mimic, 2 mana, artifact creature shapeshifter. As Metallic Mimic enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Metallic Mimic is the chosen type in addition to its other types. Each other creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it. It's a 2/1. It's insane and limited. And you just put in like human or warrior or elf
or druid or artificer
or servo.
Yeah.
This is not a 3. This is not a 3 limit. This is a 4.
Or a Thopter. It's a 4. It's a 4. There's enough similar creature types so you can get away with this.
It's a 4 and limited, and in constructed, it's so good in every tribal deck. It deserves. Oh, this card is so good. Easy 4.
Mm-hmm.
I like this card a lot. So art's great. Card's great.
Mobile Garrison. 3 colorless. Whenever Mobile Garrison attacks, untap another target artifact or creature you control. Crew for 2. So I really like this card. I think untapping another artifact or creature is pretty good, and crewing for 2 is fine, and coming down as a 3 mana 3/4 I think is fine. So generally, if you go a 2-drop, which is going to have 2 power into this, it's pretty okay. I think this card is good. I don't think it's anything special, but I think it's good.
I think this is actually a solid 3, because it can, on turn 3, you can play it and then block everything your opponent has, and also when you attack, you can not only untap the thing that crewed with it, you can also untap a bigger attacker. So let's say you tap a 2/1 to crew this, attack with it, and a 6/6. You can then untap the 6/6 to block the next turn. So it effectively gives your 6/6 vigilance, or it gives your crewed guy vigilance, which means you can double crew or stuff like that.
There's also a bunch of other things you can do with it because it's another target artifact or creature. So let's say you've got a ramper. You can technically use that ramper to crew this, or if let's say you have like a Servant of the Conduit, you can use Servant of the Conduit to crew this and then untap it to ramp. So there's stuff you can do. If you've got an artifact that taps that does something, you can untap it and use that ability twice. So I really like this. This thing probably works a lot. Improvise too. So there's a lot of things you can do with this.
You can also crew with like a 2/1 that's not a mana dork. Like play a 2/1 off of your mana dork, and then crew with that 2/1, and then untap your mana dork and play another thing. So you can just go like 2-drop. On turn 4, you could go 2-drop, 3-drop.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
Which is really, really good. I think that's.
I think this card is really solid, and it's actually like. Remember how like you took Freighter all the time? Mm-hmm. Freighter was more insane than this card. This is only a 3, where Freighter was probably like a 3.5. But
you're probably gonna want 1 or 2 copies of this in your deck, maybe at most points. Like Freighter, you would want 3 or 4, but this you can probably play 1 or 2, and I think it's fine. So I'd sit it as a solid 3 as well.
This is one of the best vehicles at common. This is probably the best vehicle at common.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Night Market Guard, 3 mana, artifact creature construct. Night Market Guard can block an additional creature each combat. It's a 3/1. I don't like this card. It's very mediocre. I would give it a solid 2.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that.
It can never attack. It dies to a servo. And the best it's going to do is save. I mean, it can save you the game by just like playing it, and you can block 2 things. It can trade for 2 things. You can get 2-for-1s with it. So maybe the other player can't attack. It's a very defensive card, but it's a defensive card with 1 toughness, which is so fragile.
Ornithopter, 0 mana, 0/2 flying. This card hasn't printed before.
Solid 5 in draft and sealed.
Solid 5 for flavor. Just because who doesn't like Ornithopter? But yeah, everyone's kind of seen this card already. If you're new and you haven't seen this card, it's been printed before. And yeah, I agree. The art's not great as well. You're probably not going to play this in draft unless you're really heavily on improvise and artifacts.
This is a 0.
Yeah, because you're never really doing anything, and there's not much way to combat spells.
It's a 0 in draft, 0 in sealed.
You don't think in like a blue-black spell with Tezzeret's Touch or something like that. This can be okay,
but I'm
not even saying it's good. I'm just saying it's okay and maybe playable if you need a card.
Fair.
So maybe it's like a 0.5, but yeah, or if you need to block like 1 power flyers, if they have like a lot of Eddy Trailhawks or stuff like that, or a lot of Thopters that you just need blockers. So I would say it's a 0.5, but yeah, you generally don't want to play it.
Pacification Array, 1 mana, artifacts, uncommon, 2 tap target artifact or creature. It is pacifism, sort of, but it's expensive. It is amazing, actually. You just play it on turn 1, and you can improvise with it early, and then later you just tap down their best thing because you're going to have an extra 2 mana sitting around. This card's great. I would take it very highly. I would say it's a solid 3.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on the solid 3.
The only thing that makes it only a 3 is that it's 2 mana to activate.
But it's 1 mana to play, so like you said, it can be used for improvise as well. If you don't even if you want to use its ability on say turn 3 or turn 4 because 2 mana is going to be very expensive early on in the game, you can still use it as a way to improvise. So and especially if you're going to be using this card, you're probably using it in a deck that's going to play improvise, such as blue-black or any blue deck. So I think this thing works fine.
I think it's in all your decks. Good.
Paradox Engine, 5 mana. It's a legendary artifact. Whenever you cast a spell, untap all non-permanents you control. So this is interesting because I'm not sure how good this actually is in Limited. I feel like it's not very good because you're really not going to combo off with it. But when you play this,
it's terrible. It's just like all your guys have Vigilance for 5 mana. That's not even that good.
If you have a 6 mana spell and a 7 mana spell in your hand, because it's non-land too, right? So okay.
It's not good. If it was all permanents, it's cool and constructed. It's a 0 in 0.5, 0 in Limited.
It's a 0. It's a very cool card. It's cool. That's all you can say about it. It's very flavorful and it does a lot of stuff outside of Limited, but it's a 0 for sure.
Peace Walker Colossus, 3 mana, artifact vehicle, rare, 1 in white, activate another target vehicle you control becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. Crew 4, 6/6. It's a little expensive to crew, but it can make any other vehicle a creature until end of turn for 2 mana, which is insane. It's very good. Having 2 of these is ridiculous. This with Saheeli is also really, really cool. This card's very good. Even the Crew 4 for 6/6 is it's pretty bad, but the rest of it's good. It's also just 3 mana.
I think you actually need, for this thing to be good, I think you actually need another vehicle on the board. I think by itself, it's more okay than good, just because Crew 4 is a lot. And I think we've seen that especially in Kaladesh, that the threshold for a good vehicle is probably 3 at the most. And even the best vehicles, usually like Renegade Freighter, had 2. So I think
Yeah,
4 is
yeah.
generally going to be a lot,
This is
which is going
not
to
good
make
for
this
the
a
crew
problem.
part. This is not good for the crew
No,
part. It's good for the activation. It's good with other vehicles, and there's even
that
more vehicles now.
yes. So if you can draft at least, I want to say like 5 other vehicles than this, I would say at least, then this is going to be very good. And if you can do that, or if you have that in your sealed pool, this is probably a 3. I would say maybe a 3.5, depending on how many vehicles you have and how good
Okay,
your vehicles are.
I think it's a
But
3. Yeah.
but by itself, if you don't have other vehicles, it's probably more like a 2.5. Planar Bridge 6, legendary artifact, 8 tap, search your library for a permanent card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So the effect of this is insane because it's basically 8 mana, search for anything in your deck and play it. Problem is that you got to play it on turn 6. It doesn't do anything for 2 more turns, and even then, if you don't have anything super good to play, especially in limited, then it's not going to be great. So I think it's probably a 0 in limited. It just
Yeah.
doesn't do enough.
It's a 0
Um,
limited. All tutor effects usually are a 0 because
yes.
you have to have an amazing card to go with the tutor,
Mhm.
and this just gets like mediocre things for so many resources. Prize Fighter Construct, 5 mana, unplayable. Oh, that's not what it says. 6/2 artifact creature construct has a lot of flavor text and no relevant anything, no keywords, bad stats, bad converted mana costs. Don't play this card ever. It's
I
actually like a 1.
I'd rather have 5 mana 2/6 to be honest, because then at least it blocks stuff. This just
No,
trades with
5 mana 2/6 is
everything.
good.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. I'd rather have a
Yeah.
5 mana 2/6, right? Because it blocks everything.
This
This
dies to a
thing,
bear.
this thing dies to everything.
A bear or 2 servos or
I wouldn't
shock.
I wouldn't even give it 0. I would give it negative -0.5 out of 5 because if you play this card, you're just wasting a slot for a card that could go in there. I'd rather play Planar Bridge than this, to be
So
honest. At least that
you're
does
gonna get
something.
beat by this card, basically, is what
Yes, you're beating
saying right
yourself.
now?
You're beating yourself with this card because you
No,
wouldn't.
your opponents are gonna beat you with this. I can guarantee you.
Oh, maybe. Knowing me, yes, this is gonna happen. Renegade Map. 1. Renegade Map enters the battlefield tapped. Tap it, sacrifice Renegade Map, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your library. I think this card's pretty good.
I think this
Um,
card's insane, and it's a 3 or a 3.5. It goes in
I don't,
every single deck.
I
It
don't
is.
think it's that good simply because it's not onto the battlefield. It's put it into your hand. If it was on the battlefield, I would agree with you. So it's not really a ramp. It's just kind of a fine, but it definitely fixes all your mana.
It's an
Uh,
attune that goes into every deck. It's an attune that goes into every deck. Helps with improvise. Helps with revolt. This card's insane. This card is very high.
it does enter the battlefield tapped. So sometimes you need a mana and you draw this. You have to wait a turn, which is a downside.
It doesn't
So I don't
matter
think it's a
though.
3.5. I still think it's good. I still think I would give it a 3.
Reservoir Walker, 5 mana. Artifact creature construct. When Reservoir Walker enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life and get 3 energy. 3/3. This card does not do enough.
I think it's okay. This is
It
kind of a 23rd playable in an energy deck. I mean, gaining 3 life is okay. It's kind of like, to put it in perspective, like Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot. It does very similar things, but it's a body and it's expensive, so the drawbacks are there too. And I think Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot was fringe playable for certain decks and sideboard options. So this
think
could
so,
be
too.
a sideboard option as well. If you need energy, it's fine. If you have bounce effects, you can bounce in and keep gaining energy. So I think it's okay as well. And I would agree with you, it's a 2. Scrap Trawler, 3 mana. Whenever Scrap Trawler or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return to your hand target artifact card in your graveyard with lesser converted mana cost. So the mechanic on this is very interesting because whenever you lose an artifact, you can return an artifact that's less than the artifact that you've returned. But this effect is very powerful if you have a lot of artifacts in your deck. Just getting back artifacts is very good.
It also
And
kind of replaces itself. It's a 3/2 for 3 that gets back a 2-drop, which I'm sure you have in your graveyard for artifacts.
if you got a lot of really good big artifacts too, then you can bring something else back. So yeah, I think this is good.
I think it's a 3.5 actually.
I think it's more of a
You
three.
can
I think
play
you
it in
need.
every single deck, and you want to play it in every single deck. Servo Schematic. 2 mana. Artifact uncommon. When Servo Schematic enters the battlefield or is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 1/1 Servo Artifact token. This is, it can't actually go into the graveyard. It doesn't enable itself to go into the graveyard, which is not great. But it does work with all the artifact synergies. This is really good in like a black-red artifact deck that you have sack artifact abilities. There are a decent amount of colored cards that you can sack artifacts to. I think this card's okay.
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
think
it's
this
higher than
card's.
I think it's like a 2.5.
It's very similar to the Puzzle Knot, the white Puzzle Knot from
It's better
Kaladesh.
than the white puzzle knot, I
No,
think.
mm, I don't know because the white Puzzle Knot you could actually sacrifice. This if you don't have any sack outlets, it
Oh,
just
right,
stays
right.
on the
It's actually just
battlefield
a
as
worse white puzzle knot, isn't it?
slightly worse. Yeah, that's the thing, right? I think because you don't actually activate
It's
it.
also uncommon, which is even worse.
Yeah. So you're not even going to see this that often, but it definitely does enable sack outlets.
Hmm.
And sacking it is a little better than say sacking the puzzle knot because you actually get the effect of puzzle knot. You needed to activate its effect to get it.
Oh, that
Another
is the
Surda.
difference.
So
Yeah.
there is a slight difference, but I think there's similar power levels. I think I'd put it in a 2 to a 2.5, just depending
It's
on
filler,
the type
but
of deck. Yeah.
it's synergistic.
If you're playing a puzzle knot deck, you'd probably play this card. Treasure Keeper, 4 mana, artifact creature construct. When Treasure Keeper dies, reveal cards on the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card with converted mana cost 3 or less. You may cast the card without paying its mana cost. Put all revealed cards not cast this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. I like this card. Basically, it's a 4 mana 3/3, which is okay. But then its ability
That
is
replaces
pretty
itself.
good. It's pretty good because then you just basically cast a 3 drop, and if you've got
Have,
anything that's really good for 3 or less, the castiness is fine.
no, it doesn't matter. It just gets it off the top library. It just replaces itself. It's insane. Like, it doesn't
Yeah, no,
matter
that's
what
what I'm
the
saying.
3 drop is. You don't need a good 3 drop. You just need anything.
No, I'm just saying if you do have a good 3 drop, this thing is even better because
Oh, yeah.
you'll go
It's
and get
just
it.
good. I've heard it called Deathcade. Like, Cascade. Deathcade is what I've heard it's called. So,
It
'cause when
reminds me
dies.
of Matter Reshaper too.
Oh, yeah. Although Matter Reshaper was so claws and was hard to cast.
Yes, but it was a rare, and people still played it when they had it because it was still a good card
Right, right, right.
in the format in limited. So I think this is very similar. I think I would give this between a 3 and a 3.5, I think.
Universal Solvent. 1 mana, artifact, common, 7, and tap. Sacrifice Universal Solvent, destroy target permanent. This card is okay. It does improvise early, and it kills something late. It's good in like a blue-black artifact deck. Not insane. It depends on
Yeah,
how fast the format is, and I think it's going to be pretty fast.
if you need a an artifact in a pinch, this thing is probably fine.
I think you
Um,
play this in a decent amount of decks.
And if you need removal in a pinch, you can play this in a deck. So I think I'd give this a 2.5. It's okay. You can play one of these, and I think you'd be
Only
fine.
one. Yeah, one and only one to help you
Yep.
improvise.
Untethered Express, 4 mana, artifact, vehicle, trample. When Untethered Express attacks, put +1/+1 counter on it. Crew 1. So this thing
This
is
card is
insane.
insane. It's crew 1. A
Yes.
servo can drive the dino train.
The
Like,
real question is this better or worse than Renegade Freighter? And they're pretty close, and I think this
what?
is probably
Whoa,
better.
it's not even close.
I think this is probably better. Renegade Freighter coming
It's
down on
not
turn
even
3.
close. This is a
Renegade
4.5. This
This
is
is
a
huge.
4.5.
To be fair, Renegade Freighter was like a 4 because it would just
Well, I
beat
know.
up everything.
This is
So
a 4.5 because it can crew 1, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
you're not going to see it as much because it's an uncommon
Right.
too. But yes, this thing is insane. This Crew 1 is insane.
This is a first
Uh,
pick almost like so many of the time. Like,
Yeah, like especially if you're in a draft, it leaves you open, and you're going to play this in every deck ever. So
there are
yeah,
so
this thing's
few rares who
insane.
take over this card.
Yeah, I agree. This thing is insane. This thing closes games. I think this is probably it might be the second best uncommon in the set. In
It's
terms
the
of
best
limited,
limited
besides-
uncommon in this set.
Yep, over Fatal Push, I think so.
Verdant Automaton, 2 mana, artifact creature, construct, common, 3 and a green. Put a 1/1 counter on it. 1/2. This card is 23rd maybe if you really need something. It's a really good mana sink. Other than that, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's all right for the green counter decks, and there's a lot of counter decks.
It's so
'Cause you
bad
can,
though on
if you
curve.
really need a two, yeah, if you really need a two drop, this is
This is
fine.
not a 2-drop. This is a 6-drop.
No, I know. I'm just saying you can play it on turn two, um,
Yeah.
and you can have it there, and it will crew some, not crew. It will work
He
with
cruised Dino
improvise.
Train.
It will work with it does crew Dino Train, but everything does. It will work with improvise, right?
Yeah.
So it does that, and then it does stuff later in the game, and
It's
especially if you want,
okay.
there are a few things that like, for example, the green instant that puts counters on everything that has a counter on it. So it does have some synergies with green.
I think you barely ever play it. I think it's like a 1.5
I would put it at
to 2.
1.5, and I'd put it maybe a 2. Yeah, that's exactly where I'd put it too. Walking Ballista, XX, artifact creature construct. Walking Ballista enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. 4, put a +1/+1 counter on Walking Ballista. Remove a +1/+1 counter from Walking Ballista. Deals 1 damage to a creature or player. This thing can be insane.
It also can
Uh,
just be very medium. It's no
yeah.
Tristilian, and it's no Hangerback Walker. This card's good in green. It's really good in green. It's a better version of the Verdant Automaton.
If you can put counters on it without having to activate its ability, it can be very
It
good
doesn't even
because
matter. It's like an amazing mana sink because you can play it in
Mhm.
every color.
No, that's what I mean. I'm just saying though,
Yeah.
if you are playing it in green and you can put counters on
Yeah.
it for free without and by that I mean without having to activate its ability, it's very good. But even if you draw this on the top of your deck at late in the game and play however much you want, like
Pay 8. Make it
eight,
4/4.
4/4 that can deal 4 damage, seems very good,
4
right?
to the
And then if
face.
they try to remove it, you just 4 to the face.
Or like 1 to that guy, 2 to that guy, 1
Yeah,
to that guy. Like,
makes them playing servos very difficult, which is very good too. So I really like
yeah.
this card. I think it's a 3.
Watchful Automaton, 3 mana, artifact creature construct, 2 and a blue, scry 1, 2/2. The stats on this card are terrible. The vanilla test is terrible. The ability is really expensive. This card is one of the worst automatons.
I think I would disagree with you there. If you're playing a blue-black late game and you can stall
Sure,
the
but
late game,
it's so
um,
bad and not. If you're not playing a blue deck, you just don't play this card because it's only
this
3.
card, like it's not the worst thing against the vanilla test. A 3 mana 2/2 is not great, but it's not like a 1/1 for
In this
uh.
format, it's just terrible actually.
If you draw them late in the game, you're not actually that unhappy because you can just scry a ton for more action.
He's a
And if
23rd
this,
card. I think
I
he's
think so too.
1.5 actually.
I think he's a 2, and I think
Okay.
he's a 23rd card. I just think he's slightly better than you think he is, and I think in blue black decks you're gonna maybe want a copy of this guy, or you might need him for if you need a 23rd playable. But other than that, it's not
Sure.
super good. Welder Automaton, 2 mana, artifact creature construct, 3 in the red. Welder Automaton deals 1 damage to each opponent. It's a 2/1.
This
This
is
card.
easily the best
That's
automaton.
one. Yeah. The
Easily.
mana sync effect is really good at finishing games. 2 mana, 2/1. Fine stats for what it is.
It's also
Uh,
red black artifact deck. This is so good on curve, and it's so good late. Like,
mhm.
oh, this card's great. I love this card. I think this is actually the best automaton. Still only think it's a 2 to 2.5, but
I
it's
think so too.
It's a solid curve filler. It goes in like a lot of your. It's a lot. It goes in like all your red decks as a nice solid 2-drop that does something. It's just way better. Like think of how that 2/1 that produced 3 energy was in Kaladesh. This is way better than that card because it goes in all the decks.
Yeah, I think this thing is fine. I agree with you on the 2 to 2.5. It's definitely the best one. Especially at the end of the game, and especially if you need to find a way to close out damage, because
Yeah.
the opponent might have stabilized, this thing can just do that, right? So
The Automaton cycle is really weak, but
mhm.
this is
This
the
one's the
strongest
best one.
Yeah. So we're gonna add this onto the artifacts because it's colorless. It's a land, and it goes with artifacts. So Spire of Industry, land taps for 1 colorless, and then you can pay 1 life and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Activate this only if you have an artifact. This land is insane. This is going to be a $10 card, like throughout its standard life. And I think Modern 2, I think I want to get some foils of this for my Affinity deck. I think this card is great. This great card is a very good sealed card. This is because like it's really, really good at fixing. And it makes you be able to splash more things. It's not great in draft because it requires you to pick. It's like you pick it sometimes. It's good fixing, but
Yeah, I agree with that. It's
You
good
don't first pick
fixing.
it unless you want to pick money.
If it gets past you, you're gonna take it for the money probably most of the time. But if it gets past you and you
It's
don't
gonna be
need the
money.
money and you're looking to evaluate the card, it's probably like a 2 to a 2.5. Like in limited, just because you can fix anything, but if you don't need fixing, it's all right.
Evaluating
But
lands is
yeah,
weird because it goes in every single deck you're going to play. Thank you for joining us for the artifacts and land. Yes,
land,
lands.
yeah, land, not lands.
But it's awesome land and it's very good artifacts. I think the artifacts, they go in a lot of decks. Some of them have it's cool because a lot of the artifacts have color requirements, so they like are very good in the color requirement deck. But you also can splash, kind of like your last set where you have your Weldfast monitor type thing. They fill the curve, but they're also good. I think the artifacts are not as good as the colored cards as usual, but I think they're compared to other sets, the artifacts in this set are stronger than other sets because it's more artifact synergy. I'm happy to have a lot of these artifacts in my decks.
I think the artifacts are very much the glue that are going to bring some of your decks together, that are going to make your decks better, because especially with the improvised mechanic, and especially with all the artifacts that can sack and turn on a revolt, that's where your decks are going to come together, is getting enough things that synergize with your deck in colorless because of how they kind of wanted those synergies to work and how they wanted those mechanics to work. So I really think that these artifacts are going to be able to bring your deck together. There's some really good artifacts in there too, that especially with vehicles, that also can close and win you games. So I think that's what we're doing. And then obviously the single land is
Really good.
fixing everything, and there's a whole bunch of fixing. So there's going to be a whole bunch of ability
I don't
to play
think
three
there's actually
colors.
that much, there's not enough fixing in the set. I don't think.
I think there's enough that you can play three colors, especially if you combine it with Kaladesh, which you will be.
Okay, yeah, that's
Format.
sure. I just think it's gonna be hard to do that in draft. I think in sealed you can definitely play three colors like you've been playing, but I think in draft it's gonna be tough to. I mean, you can splash the third color, but playing like straight two colors is not possible.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I've been Incredible Bad Gaming,
And I've been ZMagic94.
and you can find me. Sorry. Okay, we're going to start again.
It takes a few times.
Yeah, I was gonna say. What was I saying after you? You can.
Twitch and.
Yeah. Okay. If you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe to me on YouTube, or you can follow me on Twitter at IncredibadGame, or on Twitch at Incredibad_gaming, and then you can say what you need to say. Okay, cool. Thank you guys for tuning in for the colorless set review. I've been Incredibad Gaming.
And I've been ZMagic94.
And if you like what you saw on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, or you can find me on Twitter at Incredibad_game, or on Twitch at Incredibad_gaming.
And you can find me on Twitch at ZMagic94, Twitter at ZMagic94. And if you have not checked out TeamNFGBot.com, you can check that out for other great Magic content.
I hope you guys enjoyed the set review, and we'll see you guys next time.